Hello, everyone. And as I was already introduced, my name is Anna. I'm from Ukraine. And today we're going to talk about tips and tricks on making semi-realistic skin. And my speech is going to be divided in two parts. In the first part, there is going to be a presentation. And the second part, I will open Substance Painter, and I will show you all the layers, all the masks which are used to create the semi-realistic skin. But before we start, I wanted to tell several words about myself. And I started being a 3D artist since 2014. And I specialize in creating stylized characters of full cycle pipeline. I mean, I start making characters in that brush from sculpting, and I finish them rendering. Rendering, it's not like the part of a working pipeline. If we are talking about the working pipeline, I finish making characters in Substance Painter after texturing. I have 10 years experience, and I had luck to work for such projects and for such companies as Blizzard, Riot Games, Airship Syndicate, and others. And also right now I'm an official streamer at the Brush Leaf, and I have 2 YouTube channels. One of them is in English, which is Anissa Ginjo Art, and there you can find actually the full video of making of the cyberpunk girl. And the second channel which I have is Game Dev from Girl, and it is in Ukrainian. And right now about this project. That project was like quite a challenge for me. I wanted to try to do something what I've never did before. And this project is the first work without a concept. We know that to be a concept artist, it is a separate special profession, and we need to spend several years to learn to be a concept artist. And that's why, being a 3D artist, it is very difficult to create something, to understand the forms, to understand the lines, and to understand the colors. But I decided to challenge myself. That's why it is the only character in my portfolio which is created without a concept. Also, I specialize in game dev characters, but this time I wanted to try XGen here and Arnold render, which, as you know, it is part of pipeline for cinematics, for cartoons. So that was also quite a challenge for me. And of course, I was inspired by the game Cyberpunk. I started making this character when this game was released, and I think I looked through all available pictures of Cyberpunk on ArtStation and decided to do something from myself. And the most funny, I think, fact about this project is that previously, I had Cyberpunk project at work, but that was under NDA. And for that project, we created material in Substance Painter, this glittering jacket. And I loved it so much, and I wanted to post it in my portfolio, but the project was under NDA. That's why I just promised myself that I will make a project where I will use this material, because I just wanted to show this, this material. So this is how this work was born. And talking about the textures, I'm very sorry. Talking about the textures, I need to say several words that all the textures here are fully made in Substance Painter. I didn't use any other softwares, only Substance Painter, except of the hair. The hair, the color of the hair was done straight in Arnold. It's not kind of texturing, so I did not include the texturing here. And also I used PBR pipeline, but that PBR pipeline was like a combination between hand paint techniques and generative procedural techniques. And this is why I like Substance Painter, because in this program you can combine both hand paint and procedural techniques in one project. And I want to say that creating textures is easier than it seems to be. I know that every time when we open Substance Painter and looking at our gray material, we just don't know what to do, and we have chaotic thoughts in our head. But if you make a structure, what should be done first, then second, then third, everything will become easier, and I will prove it when I will go to my Substance Painter file with the textures of the skin. And the types of skin which I used here are like the skin texture, the makeup texture, glittering texture, and glasses. And I also had here the material of metal, but I decided not to speak today about the metal material because here everything is pretty straightforward, just a combination of two materials, and that's it. That's why I don't think that I need to stop explaining the metal material which I used. And talking about the skin, I used the technique of 3 skin layers. What does it mean? That means that all of us know that we have a subdermal layer. I created the subdermal layer. On top of it, I created dermal layer. And on top of dermal layer, I created just like kind of fixed layer where we have all scars or some details which we can add to our skin. And as I said before, the skin is created by the combination of procedural and hand paint approaches. And you will see that somewhere we really need to use our hand paint approaches. About the textures, for rendering, of course, I use displacement, but for texturing, I used normal map. I baked both these maps, but for texturing, I used only normal maps. Also here, I made the base color. That's obvious, right? I also painted roughness, which is also obvious, but instead of metallic layer, I used the specular layer. Why? Because our skin is not metal. That's why the metallic map would be just one color, and that's not interesting. But when we're using a specular layer, so we can, by using specular layer, we can show the areas which can be more shiny, and that's why this map would be more informative than the metallic layer. That's why I decided to paint the specular map. Also, you can see that on my character we have the makeup, and this makeup was created by a separate layer. Makeup texture. The makeup texture, as I said, was created as a separate layer. But the thing is that for the makeup in Arnold, I use the layer material. That means that I combined 2 materials. And they mixed through the mask, which you can see here, the black-white mask. And I want to say that for the makeup, I used only the base color. But you can see glittering effect here around her eyes. And this glittering effect was achieved only by, I think it is crystal node in Arnold. But it wasn't painted. However, it is possible to make even in Substance Painter, but I didn't want to make like thousands of maps. That's why I made this effect in Arnold, but the color itself I painted in Substance Painter. Glittering jacket, that material, and the most like the tips and the biggest secret is that this material is made of car iridescent. I'm not sure how to pronounce this word in English. It's not my native language, so sorry. But this is the material which I used for this jacket. It was the base, and the color was painted just like another layer. But all this glittering effect is achieved only by this iridescent car material, car paint. And glass textures, that was also very interesting. I tried several ways how to make semi-transparent glasses and with textures, and I ended up by creating the mesh of glasses, which is absolutely transparent. And inside of these glasses, I inserted just a plane. And here you can see the map. That's like an alpha map, which I created in Substance Painter. And you can understand that the black parts are not visible and the white parts are visible. And the color, again, I applied in the Arnold because, as I said before, I didn't want to just create thousands of maps. And I can say that all the ornaments on the glasses, except of this one, which is actually is not visible from the front view, all the other ornaments are created by the standard alphas in Substance Painter. First of all, I was thinking to find some special alphas somewhere in the internet or to create them in Photoshop, but then I ended up by just standard alphas from Substance Painter because they were looking much better than all the previous variants. And, back. Yeah, here. And right now, I think it is time for us to go to Substance Painter, where I will show all the layers of the skin material, which I was talking about. So here we are. Let's go to head. And I think here we need only 3D view. And by now, I will turn off all the layers. And I will turn on them later, explaining each layer. It takes some time. And here we are. I think everybody knows that when we upload something to Substance Painter, our character will look this way. And then as you see, I have a folder which is called subdermal layer. Let's turn it off, turn it on, and here we have 3 layers. The first layer is just very simple. It's just the base color, and it is red because we all know that through the skin we can see like red parts on our faces. So right now it's just flat color, nothing special. But the next layer is called redness. And here you can see that it is very irregular, and I have a lot of noise here. And how this noise was created? If you look here, you will see that I use the generators, fill layers with noise, like clouds, and here you can see the names of the noise which I used here. And also here I use some hand paint to make veins. And also some hand paint techniques which I use just to make this area on the lips darker, because here our lips in reality look a little bit darker. And this is how it looks, and if you look in the base color, you can see that it is pretty irregular. And the next layer is purple layer. Everybody knows this purple layer when we sit in front of the computer for 8 hours and then we go to the mirror and we see round purple circles around our eyes. So yeah, when you're creating skin texture, you need to remember about this. Not a lot, but somewhere it should be. And this is what I call the subdermal layer. And the next layer, like group of layers, is subdermis. And then we go to our first layer, and this is skin layer. And before I will explain how I painted it, I want you to look through it and see that we have areas where the skin is, through this layer, we see this somewhere purple, somewhere red areas. And how is it made? If we go here, we will see that our mask, it is not like fully white or fully black. It like semi-transparent. And how it was created? I used noisy brushes, and where we have here we have assets. And if we go here to, on my computer, it looks differently at home. I need to find here brushes. And the most popular brush which I use is a smooth noise brush. Here it is. This brush I highly recommend for you to use if you want to receive this irregular looking of your textures, not just flat. And also, to make this, you see here, kind of flakes, I used one of these brushes. It's like dots, and something like that. And when you just start painting your texture with these brushes, you receive areas which are not like covered by the color. And that's why this is how you can receive this irregular looking of the textures. And of course, on top, I have like kind of correction layer. I mean, in the end, I realized that her purple eyes are very purple here. That's why I created another one, like correction here. And next layer in this dermis group of layers is sun damage. It is not really visible, but the main point about the textures is that you create things which are like not really visible, but when you have like 10 such things, 10 such layers, they make difference. And I think if we go to the base color, you can see the sun damage is pretty visible here. And on here, just a second. Yeah, and the mask here looks this way. And again, I have the generators, which I used them. I sharpened them, and I just painted some areas where I don't want to see the sun damage. Of course, we need to have freckles, because a lot of people have freckles. And again, if we go to the base color, they look this way. And in the freckles, you can see that, first of all, I just painted them with one of these brushes. The name I don't remember, but I think you will find it's just a difficult brush here. I blurred them a little bit, and I used this filter warp because our freckles, they are not like perfect circles, and we need somehow to distort them. And of course, I created bed heads. You can see what, let's again go to the base color, and you will see without bed heads and with them. But again, on our face, it is not visible same everywhere. That's why we need to make a mask. And I used the curvature generator. And on top, I used just a paint. And again, everywhere here, I'm using this smooth noise brush when I need to wipe something out. And you can see that there are areas where these back heads are not visible. Next one is here in the dermis layer is a group with lips. And here we have just the base color, nothing special. And I have like 2 layers for the lips. The first one is darkness. Let's look here. Of course, we have like a mask for the lips and the mask for each layers. And here, I used the thickness map to create this darkness, and also I used levels to make it more visible. So here we can see without darkness, with darkness. And lightness, of course, we need lightness, and this lightness is going to be here in the middle. Again, here we have the curvature generator, and somewhere I painted, I just removed this light. Next one is redness. And when I say redness, I mean these veins. I think you remember that when I was, let's go to the base material here. And now you can see veins here. And I just duplicated the layer from the subdermal layer, and I deleted everything what I had here in the mask except of veins, because I wanted to make these veins a little bit visible. That also brings more realism to our work. And the final layer, I think it's just like kind of the makeup techniques. The girls understand what I am talking about. I just know that on our face, when we are making the makeup, there are the areas which we try to make darker, because these things make our face looking better. And this is what I used to also to make my face looking more natural. Without it and with it, I think with it, it looks much better. And this is our dermal layer. Next, I created this specular layer. To create the specular layer, first of all, I worked like in this just standard PBR where is it? The standard shader. And but to create a specular layer, I went to, let me remember where, because I have different interface in my computer. I created another channel, which is, okay, I will not search for it right now. I think you understand what I'm talking about, but I will show that. Let's take this one. You can see that here I have specular layer. So I can go here to look at my specular layer, the way it looks. And here we are, specular layer. So let's turn it on. So first of all, it was just a simple gray color. And on top of it, I added the noise. And this noise consists of different generators. Nothing special, just I need to get this irregularity. And on top of it, I have cavities, which I don't know why I can see. Nothing is here almost. This is the way it looks. And after the specular layer, there was another folder, which is roughness. And let's go to roughness. In roughness map, we have just the base color, as usually. And we have, the roughness looks pretty simple. But here we have, the first I have lips, because our lips always look more wet. That's why we need to, oh my God, make them looking more wet. Next layer was oilness, because our skin have this like fat, and that's why we can see this is the area where we can see this oilness. And there was another layer, I'm just needed to wipe out it here, nothing special. So in general, the roughness looks this way. And I can say that this is the final version of the skin itself. If you're interested, I also have here the makeup. And the makeup I have, for the makeup, I have for the group the mask, which is looking this way. And this is how looks the makeup, only for to see how it's going to be looking like kind of in Arnold. I added here the metallic channel, but in the end I didn't export metallic, only the base color. So here for the makeup, it was so simple to do here, because I think, as I said before, textures are more simple than it seems for you to be when you just understand the structure. And here we have just the base color. On top of it, we have then eyeliner. And to make them looking a little bit more interesting, I added also here one more color. So the makeup consists only of 3 layers. This is the way it is done. And I think about this demonstration in Substance Painter, we are done. And we can go back to the presentation. And so I think right now it is time for your questions. And I want to say, if you want to follow me on my social networks, you can scan this QR code. But before you go, I want to offer you to ask questions. And if you have any questions, you are welcome to ask them.
For questions, please use the microphones in the aisle, and you can get up and use the microphones at
Hello.
Hello.
I was wondering your fine art background before you started, if you have one, before you started working in Substance Painter, like painting or ceramics or anything.
You mean my background before I became a 3D character artist?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I have a MA diploma in foreign languages. So I'm interpreter in English and Italian. That's why I'm not connected with art. I don't know painting at all. So I draw as, I don't know, the best what I can draw, I think, is heart and the star, and that's it. So it is not obligatory to be perfect in 2D if you want to become a 3D artist.
I just want to say that's amazing because I have a background in painting and sculpture, and it looked very natural and intuitive to what I've learned in school for art. So thank you.
Thank you. That can be a big boost for you. It will be easier for you if you know all the study skills, if you know sculpting, if you know drawing. But it is not obligatory. You still can become a good artist if you don't have like the talent for all this.
I noticed that in your sculpt, before you started texturing, you already had the pores done. Was that done by hand or through a generator?
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear it here.
The pores in your face sculpt, were those done by hand or through a generator?
The question is about the pores, and the texture of the pores were done by the curvature map.
Okay.
So I use a generator, the curvature, and through this generator, I created this black heads.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
So I was wondering, so I specialize in both stylus and realism, and I noticed that you're purely stylized. Did you start off as purely stylized, or did you have any works of realism in your portfolio when you were looking?
I don't have any works in realism except of this girl. I make only stylized characters, and the reason why I decided to be a stylized artist because I didn't want to spend a lot of time on creating hair with planes.
So do you feel like artists should lock into one style if they want to enter this industry?
Oh, okay. A little bit louder, please.
Oh, do you feel like artists should choose one style if they want to enter in this industry?
I think that if you're at the beginning of your way becoming a 3D artist, you need to choose one style.
Okay.
Because you will do this style and each work will be better. If you, at the very beginning, try to work in all the possible styles, then your skill is on the same level. You just have the same level of works in different styles.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, thank you for coming and giving this presentation first. So I'm a fairly new user for Substance Painter, so this might be a question that everyone knows, but when you have all these different layers for skin, how do you get them to like show in the final render? So because to my understanding that when you have these layers, don't they cover each other up? Is there some sort of like transparency, or you like tone down the opacity so that they show through?
The main, you saw when I was making this dermal layer, the base layer was, I showed you the mask and that it was semi-transparent. This is how they show off, not show off, they just mix with each other. You just create masks which are not solid, but they're semi-transparent.
Okay, I see, that makes sense. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hi, I was wondering, how long did the processes take you of sculpting and retopo and then the texturing, of course?
This character took, I think, 3 months, but in usual life it would take twice less because here I didn't have concept, and one pity fact is that I was rendering this character on my computer, and my computer is not very powerful for Arnold rendering, and to render one shot, not one shot, one picture, took about 30 hours. And at that time, I'm very sorry talking about it, but that was time when we had the blackouts in Ukraine because a lot of bombs fell on my city. And that's why every time I started to render, I didn't have enough time of electricity to render it. So I started it just several times. That's why it took so much time.
That's understandable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my question is, you clearly know a lot about like how skin textures behave, and I was wondering when you were building these, or maybe you learned this in your fine art background, did you have like a medical textbook open next to you to study how those layers worked and the way the veins moved and stuff?
First of all, I looked through a lot of tutorials on the internet, and I just wrote down what should be on my textures. We know that we have freckles. I need to make freckles, so I write down that I need to make freckles. And then I have there was a list of freckles, veins, blackheads, and so on. This is how I decided to make it.
Just like regular old YouTube videos?
Yes.
Right on.
Yes. Well, and also reference. And the thing is, when we are talking about experience, when you have experience, I think in the word of experience, we have a lot of information. That means that for 10 years, you were looking at at 3D models, and you know the 3D models so good that you have them in your head, and you know each details of your models. This is what we have when we are talking about experience. This is what it means to have this experience. You know all the details, all the possible details. That's why when you start making something, you know all these minor things which you need to include.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi. I saw on your presentation you didn't really go over anchor points. I was wondering what you thought about anchor points when it comes to Substance Painter.
That's a big shame. I don't know how anchors work in Substance Painter.
No, you're good. I was just wondering.
I know that they're very powerful,
Yeah.
but I never had, well, I always did all my textures without anchors. So unfortunately, I don't know how do they work.
You're good. Thank you.
Oh, I will see. Yeah.
Hi, sorry, height differences. So I saw that you did a lot of stylized work. On average, how many layers would you say that you use for a stylized piece that you consider finished?
Repeat one more time.
Oh, sorry. So in all of your stylized pieces that went into games and were actually being used, about how many layers on average would you say that you wind up using?
I think the amount of layers which you saw on my on this skin is the average what I use for texturing any other skin. If we're talking about the clothes, for clothes usually I use less layers because it doesn't have so much information, and a lot of fabric materials which I use, they already have a lot of information, so I don't need to paint everything from the scratch.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, thank you for the speech. Привіт.
Thank you.
I have a question. Do you prepare any export presets for the texture into the engines like Unity or Unreal to use subsurface scattering and everything, because it looks different in Engine and look different in Substance Painter, or your pipeline just ends in Substance Painter?
As for the presets, for this work I used Arnold presets, which are standard here. And all these details like subsurface scattering, I set it in the Arnold. They're just Arnold settings and not the maps.
Okay, and do you prepare shaders or something in engines or not? Do you set up textures when you give it to the to your outsource manager or something?
At work. No, I don't check.
So you. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hi, thank you for the speech. So I'm more of a level designer, but I've been wanting to kind of better collaborate with some of my artists and kind of tech artists. What would you say is like a good start for kind of like learning Substance in terms of kind of collaborating with my other team members who are more directly working with Substance?
So you're asking about the tutorials for Substance Painter?
I guess so, or like just a general good start, places. When I was learning Substance Painter, there were like three sources. The first one were official tutorials on the YouTube from Substance Painter. Really, they are very good. I really love them. The second one was I asked my team leaders and art directors when I didn't know something. And the third one, I like tutorials of Jay Hill on the YouTube. And he gives a lot of information. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Anna. I'm really impressed like how you layer out all the layers, and I'm more like an environment artist, but it's very impressive to see how the character art work. And I'm just curious, you mentioned that it's not based on existing concept, so I'm just wondering like how you gather like references and how you analyze your references. Usually, how many references you gather for this kind of project.
Very good reference. Oh, very good question. Thank you. Unfortunately, I don't have this pure ref file with all the references which I had, but I had references there for everything. So I had groups like style, quality, eyes, eyebrows, lips, hairstyle, general style. So I just had a lot of structured reference, and I was just comparing what I'm receiving to what I see on this reference.
So you mean you have like a library you build up over the years? And
No, just for this project.
Oh, just for this project.
Yeah.
So you just break down to different sections
Yes.
and compare a reference.
Yes, all the references were in this pure file, and I created them only for this project. So I was just going through the ArtStation looking for the picture which I need.
Thank you. It's good.
You're welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
I'd like to say thank you for your presentation. Very informative. Your final render, it was taken in on Arnold, so the textures that you had to take, you had to export them out from Substance Painter. Were there any particular issues regarding whenever you take those textures into Arnold and rendering them out? Were there issues regarding like sometimes those textures being like a different shade, or maybe different shade of color, or maybe there's something wrong with specific maps? I know there can be an issue regarding taking some of those textures out from Painter and testing them out in different engines may cause some issues regarding, it'll cause them to look different in other engines and in other renderers than they would be in Painter.
Good question. And I can say that in this project I didn't have any issues. I exported this Arnold preset and everything worked in Arnold. Okay. I had in general problems with Arnold because it is so ununderstandable and not intuitive software. So I had this, that usually happens when you're just looking for one tick which you don't have, and you look through everything, and finally after 2 days you find it. So I just, in general, have some issues in Arnold which are not connected with the textures. And in my situation, I think I usually just select the preset which I need. It works sometimes. I have the presets already pre-made, and I just import to Substance Painter the preset. Then it always works. So in general, I didn't have any issues.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Anna. Thank you for this incredible presentation. So I have a question regarding the skin materials. So when you're using the skin, is that a preset template that you already set up from previous projects, or do you recreate the skin from scratch? Like, what's your thought process of the skin materials? Thank you so much.
Can you a little bit louder, please?
Sorry, let me repeat it.
I'm sorry, English is not my native language.
Okay, let me repeat the question, sorry. So do you use skin, for your skin material textures, do you have a preset template that you import prior, like a base template prior to making the skin, or are you creating the skin from scratch for every?
Everything was done from the scratch. As I saw, I didn't have any preset material.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
But I converted the skin into preset. That's why every time when I'm texturing semi-realistic skin, I'm just using this preset.
Oh, that's okay. Awesome. That's smart. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hello, thank you for the presentation. So you mentioned about you create like stylized because of hair, but in this project I saw your hair in action is really pretty. I wonder the color is also made from the Maya, the action, or is in the Substance Painter?
The color of her hair?
Yes.
XGen. In the XGen, when you're making a color, it's not XGen, it is hair material, and it is Arnold hair material, and there you have an opportunity to draw on your UV map, just to draw, and the color, and the hair which touch this color, they're going to be this color. And the other area, which is another color, it's going to be that color. It's just you're drawing on your UV map in Arnold with this Arnold hair material.
Gotcha. That's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. think we have last question. Right?
Hi. So whenever I'm working in Substance Painter and exporting it to other softwares, like it looks really good in Painter, but then when I export it to other softwares, maybe it looks 50% or 75% as good. What tricks and tips do you have to maybe ensure that it looks as good as it can be in other softwares?
The thing is, the trick here is that you need to use the same HDR which you used in Substance Painter. If you're rendering your character then in Marmoset, you have this opportunity to upload the HDR which you used in Substance Painter. And then all your textures will be looking absolutely same as they look in Substance Painter.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And before we finish, I see that was the last question. I want to say several words. And I want to say that the profession of 3D artist is, I think it's one of the most perfect profession in the world, because this profession, it is a very creative profession. And besides, if you're talking about like another part of this profession, this profession can save you in any situation of your life, whether it is COVID, as we had it before, no matter whether it is war like in my country, you still have an opportunity to work. And I can say that I know it is very difficult at the very beginning to get a first job, to enter the studio and to start being the 3D artist, but later, when you become a middle artist and senior artist, you will not have a lot of problems. You will enjoy everything, all the best things which you have in this profession, because this profession pays you off. And I want to say that it doesn't matter whether you are not good in drawing like me or finished art school. It doesn't, I want to say that if you work a lot and if you really want to become a 3D artist, that will come. Just take your time. And to all of you, I wish all the senior positions. I wish to you to become best artist, to find your place, to make the game which you really wanted, because long ago I wanted to make Heroes of the Storm for Blizzard, and I never thought that that would come true. But I made skins for this game, and everything what you want in this life can happen to you. Thank you for listening, and I really hope that you liked my lecture.